Hello and welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast. It's Wednesday evening and we are here to preview Thursday, Friday and Saturday's action if you have any money left after the absolute carnage that was today. I'm joined by Steve Jones and Charlie Poste. How are you getting on, lads?
It's tough. Yeah, not had a few placed, but oh god, it is tough.
Yeah, it's not. Yesterday, I think, was the calm before the storm. It seemed a lot easier yesterday, decent. Today definitely didn't follow on like that.
Yeah. Well, look, there's 3 more days left. We remain positive. There's plenty more to go. We're going to jump straight into Thursday's action. So we're going to look at the Norfolk folks, or the Norfolk Stakes. Yeah, they're not straight away. So we get the prices up there. So Elite Status, one of the hot pots of the week, is the top of the market at 2.58. American Rascal is over at 6.8. Notch Magica is 11.0. His Majesty, that'll be a popular bet tomorrow, I'd say, 13.0. And Thunder Blue is in there, 34.0. Devious there at 19.0 for Donegal O'Brien. So I'll go back to you first, Steve. You fancy one of the big price?
Yeah, I've always been a bit devious, so I thought I'd go with Devious, who we've seen Aidan with some superstars earlier in the week, and Joseph's got a strong hand. He's had plenty of runners, but Donica hasn't had much. But I like Devious, who's trained by Aidan O'Brien's youngest son. This horse won first time up at Naas on decentish ground. I think the ground is going to quicken up. He's going to have to put some juice on it at some point again, because even though they had that rain at Monday into Tuesday, it's getting proper quick again, I think. So horses that like fast ground should certainly horses with soft ground form are going to struggle. But I really like that smooth win first time up at Naas, and the form's quite good there, because Jaylee B, who finished 5 lengths behind Devious in third, next time ran Give Me the Beat Boys close at Navan. And Give Me the Beat Boys ran a good race in the Coventry, finishing 4th or 5th or something. And I thought that the form was franked to this sort of level. And Jaylee B is a horse that Devious is a horse that it's got a lot of upside. It travelled so strongly over that 5 at Naas, and that's what you're going to have to do. This is 5 furlongs, and although it's stiff, it's going to take some speed horse to do it, and Devious certainly looks to have a lot of speed, and the fact that he's quite a big lad, you'd expect him to improve from that first run. So what we look in DC was around the 15.0 mark.
Bigger, he's 19.0 at the moment.
I'm quite happy to take a punt on him at that, because yeah, it's a race where you don't really know. You've got Wesley Ward's runner in there. You've got another American horse in there in No Name Mets with Frankie Dettori, and you've got a French horse in there. So you don't really know about those. But what you know about these is that Devious, it should never be that price.
Yeah, we're going to 6 places in that race as well in Matchbook. So if you fancy doing a win place bet, we've got lots of options there. Charlie, you're going for the top of the market, Elite Status. Tell us what you want.
Yeah, I am Deasy. I mean, it's pretty unoriginal and all that, but like I thought he looked very, very good. Carl Burke, I think, is a fantastic trainer. 2-year-olds, he looked outstandingly good at Sandown. Maybe he got tapped for a little bit of toe early, but he was very strong at the line. I think his RPR would have been good enough to nearly win the last 10 renewals of this race. And he's got the American horse, the horse that Tory rides, drawn alongside him. So he'll have a good toe into the race. I suppose the draw is an interesting one, lads, isn't it? River Tiber won from a single-figure draw yesterday, but maybe high has been fancied today, or certainly most of the ones that have been in and around it have been high drawn. But I think if there's enough speed in this, which there will be with the American horse drawn near him, I'd take Elite Status to get favourite backers off to a winning start, Dees.
Yeah, a lot of talk around the League Status already, so hopefully he does the business tomorrow. Right, we'll jump on to the next race, so please. That's the King George, the 5th stakes. This is a 1.5 mile handicap. We can see there that Charlie Appleby is a favourite. Tagabawa at 7.0. Bertinelli is 8.0. Wonder Legend is 9.6. Then you have Burglar 10.5. Valiant King at 10.5. Perfuse at 10.0. And Davideo is in there at 9.0 as well. Right, so we'll come back to you, Charlie. So you're looking at Aidan O'Brien here.
Yeah, again, Bertinelli, he was good to me at Newbury. I think I put him up there, and he needed every yard of the 10 furlongs to get on top that day. He's a very, very unexposed horse, like plenty in this race, and he potentially looks like he could be a group horse in the making. 104. I think there's still a bit of scope for manoeuvrability with that, and this step up 2 furlongs in trip will suit him really well. And round the mile and a half, I think there's no disadvantage. In fact, there's probably a significant advantage to be drawn wide. He's drawn 16. I'd say Ryan will get him out the gate, and he'll get a good positive trip from there. And yeah, I mean, in a race full of unexposed horses, I think I'd say, I think with the trainer jockey combo, they're absolutely flying. I think Bertinelli can sort of keep this upwardly progressive curve going.
Lovely stuff, yes. Wide open race. Steve, who are you looking at?
It's red hot, this race. It's full of well-bred, progressive, well-treated horses. I think when you consider Hookham won this a few years ago, you're dealing with group horses in the making, I think, here in this handicap. And one of them that has that potential is Perfuse of Sir Michael Stout's Richard Kingscote riding, a Juddmonte horse who's got a proper Juddmonte pedigree. And ran on soft ground, testing ground, first 2 starts this season. Only made his debut back in April when runner-up at Pontefract, and then absolutely bolted up at Nottingham on testing ground. And I really liked that horse when he won. He looked a class. I was doing racing TV there, and it was proper testing, but he just went through it. Like, he looked class beforehand, and he went through the race class. And although there hadn't been the strongest race in the world, the runner-up, who was left trailing, has since won, albeit a pretty ordinary race. But next time on faster ground, I thought he appreciated the faster ground at Doncaster, and he got off the. He saw off a Gosden horse there quite easily. I think this is a group horse, and if that's the case, he's one of a number in here you could fancy. But Perfuse, I think, has got to have a good chance.
Stuff, and again, we're going to 6 places on that matchbook as well if you're having an old-win place bet. Right, we'll jump on to the Ribblesdale. Sharp price favourite here. Alasifa, who was so impressive at Goodwood the last day, heads the market at 1.69. Blue Stocking for Rafe Beckett is 10.5. Then you have Infinite Cosmos from Michael Stout is 13.5. Warm Heart for Aidan O'Brien is 16.0. Village Voice for Jesse Harrington is 17.0. So throw it back to you again, Steve. Who'd you fancy here?
Well, Alasifa could be top class, couldn't she? Again, I was working at Goodwood when she won a week last Sunday. That's a quick enough turnaround, even though she did bolt up in the listed race. So she could easily be the best 3-year-old filly in the country come the end of the season. She's got that much potential, but not at odds on for me. I can't back her at odds on. And I think the French horse is very, very interesting, Crown Princess. And she won a Group 3 at Saint-Cloud on soft ground. She was then quite unlucky. She certainly didn't get the clearest of passages in a Group 1 over 10 furlongs at Longchamp back in May. The Saint-Allery, the Prix Saint-Allery. And she was only beaten 3/4 of a length. And she sort of had to weave through and squeeze through gaps while the winner came down the outside. And the favourite won that race, was quite a nice prospect. But that was certainly a race that had a fair bit of depth to it. Now, she's been doing all her running on soft ground, as they often do in France, but I'm absolutely convinced she wants fast ground, this horse. And if that's the case, and she's going to see out the mile and 4 quite comfortably, I think, certainly on the faster ground. I think she's, 29.0?
34.0.
34.0. I think that's massive. Fabrice Chappé, who's in Chantilly, is a good trainer who's won loads of big races in France. And he's not a regular visitor over here. So that tells you that I think they fancy their chances. And I certainly think in a race that wouldn't be there's a lot of runners, but there's a lot of dead wood in here, in my opinion. And she's not one of it. She is good, I think. And if she does improve for the faster ground, that is going to be a huge price.
Yeah, and again, 6 places on the Ribblesdale. We'll have without the favourite market up as well tomorrow. Charlie, who do you fancy?
Yeah, I mean, as Steve said, Deasy, it all revolves around Alasifa, doesn't it? You know, if she's the real deal, then it might not be worth any of them turning up. And she's got all the credentials. The Yard have won this a heap of times. I just again, I couldn't really be backing her at that price, and I wanted to find something else with a bit of value. You know, again, this filly at the top of the market, she's got to go a bit further and trip. You know, she'll want to relax in a big field as well. And I thought there were reasons enough to take her on. And I came down with warm heart for Aidan and Ryan again. You know, this filly only made her debut in November. She's a real blue blood pedigree Galileo out of an Australian Group 1 winning sprinter. And I thought, you know, she's been very progressive at a slightly lower level, but I like the way she toughed it out at Newbury over 10 furlongs. The winner the third has since come out and won a listed race. I think the step up in triple suits her really well. And it's not that often you get a chance to back an Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moorhorse at 13.0 decent in a race like this. And again, that they're well able to take out as well. So just for the value alternative, I think this filly at winning place is a fantastic bet for much as the one at the top of the market could be unbeatable. But like I said, I'd be happy to take her on at the price.
Yeah, definitely. And after today, you wouldn't want to be backing anything less than 10.0 the way
yeah, exactly.
the prices that they were going in at today. That's the job, right? We'll jump on to the big race of the day, the Gold Cup, Ascot Gold Cup. I don't think I'm allowed to call it the Ascot Gold Cup. Coltrane heads the market at 4.5, very progressive. Elder off last year, St. Ledger winner is there at 5.3. Emily Dickinson is 7.6. Courage Mon Ami is 8.4, and Subjectivist, 2021 winner, is 10.0. And Tom Stanley's favourite horse, Beer, is in there at 14.0. Echoes and Rain then is 16.0. So, Charlie, we'll come straight back to you there. Tell us why Subjectivist is going to make us come.
Well, I mean, look, I think it's more. I think the race is very open, first and foremost, exciting race, but lacks a real standout. But I mean, I say it lacks a standout. If we went back to 2021, this lad he'd be a short price in this. You know, he'd be 2.5, something like that. You know, no more, I would imagine. And he's had 2 runs back from injury, and the first one was thoroughly disappointing. But there was a bit more at Meydan behind Broome, and I think the reports coming into this from the Charlie Johnson team have been really positive. And again, these like you said about today's race, and you're trying to look at value prices that give you win and place options, and to have a former Gold Cup winner that was the dominant force in his division, who, to be fair, ran a decent enough trial on his last start, again at 9.5, 10.0. Too good an opportunity for me to turn down, especially when I say the race is lacking an absolute superstar, in my opinion.
Yeah, he'll be definitely. That's where my money will be going as well. If I'm back then, and it'll be a Subjectivist. Steve, you're looking somewhere close to the top of the market.
I am, yeah. Alderov, who won the Queen's Vase at this meeting last year, and you look at the horses in the past that have won the Queen's Vase and come to the Gold Cup the next year. The likes of Estimate, Leading Light, Stradivarius, Kew Gardens, and it's got a real pedigree for throwing up top stayers, that horse. And this horse then went and bettered that Queen Vase because it won the St. Ledger. And I thought that, if anything, wanted to go up in trip again. That certainly looked the case in the Yorkshire Cup. Alderov looked rusty in the Yorkshire Cup, and certainly the race wasn't run particularly as it was dropped right out that day, which was a bit of a surprise because he'd sort of sat midfield in the Ledger, and maybe he was a bit further back in the Queen's Vase, but I just thought that was absolutely a prep run for this. They didn't really worry about the Yorkshire Cup. They were using it as a prep run for Alderov. And I think there's every chance that he will get 2.5 miles. He certainly shapes like a very strong stayer. And like Charlie said, there's no standout star in this, really. Subjectivist would be the one if he's back to his best. But you're taking a bit on trust in Coltrane, who won Ascot Stakes, a handicap, last season at this meeting, who has since gone on in to be a top-class stayer, but he didn't beat much on his return to action. I was tempted by Trushan, but not now. The ground has got so quick. They have.
He surely won't run, Steve, will he?
Well, that's the thing. I doubt it very much, especially on the back of his disappointing efforts this season with the wind up. They can take their time because Alan King even suggested they might go hurdling at some point. But when the rain came on Monday, I thought, well, 20-1 Truchamp, who is top class on his day, was a bit. But they lucked out again with and no luck at all with the weather. But so yeah, Alderov for me at the top of the market.
Excellent stuff. Two nice cases made there, and again we're going 5 places on the Gold Cup tomorrow. So if you're looking for a bit of place value, take a look at those extra place markets. So you jump onto the Britannia, nice easy one. Docklands, top of the market at 10.0. Then you have Surely Not at 12.0. Quantum Impact 12.0 as well. And then you have Racing Brakes Rider 17.5. Theory of Everything is 20.0. Royal Cape, New Endeavour is kind of 20s bar. So, Steve, we'll come back to you. Who you showed for? I don't think he even got down that far for his price. Fort Vega.
I think there's a lot of pace around drawn high, and I think that's going to be the place to be. I hope so, because Fort Vega's drawn the highest stall of them all on the stand side. And trained by Sheila Lavery, who got a bit of stick from some Australian guy who bought a horse off her, but she knows how to train. And I thought Fort Vega ran really well when winning on handicap debut at Naas last time. It's interesting that this race tends to be one, you get a bit of a mixture. You get horses that have come through handicaps and novice races and either making their handicap debut or progressive in handicaps against horses at the top of the weights generally who've been running in group races. And it's generally won by a horse that is further down the weights, who's come the handicap route and is progressing to that level. And that's what Fort Vega's been doing, and travelled so well last time at Naas. I didn't think anything could take him into the race as far as he needed to be taken into that race. And he only just got there by a head, but I think that's him. I think in a big field where they're going to go a proper gallop, I think it's suit him down to the ground. He's unexposed, he's improving, and he won on good ground last time. So I don't think he's got any problem with conditions. So he's certainly bred for fast ground. So, yeah, Fort Vega at 28.0, that'd do me.
Yeah, we'll probably be sold to Hong Kong and not the Aussies when he wins this. Charlie, who are you shooting for?
I've gone for a French train runner, Bless. Again, Steve was saying about sort of horses light for lower down the weights. Well, this one's got 9 stone 1, so maybe not that low, but certainly not up near the top. And this horse has been progressive at a reasonable level in France, and has one bit of form on a penultimate start at Longchamp when he finished 4th, beat just over 2 lengths. And the horse that finished up sides, Angers, went and took the German 2000 Guineas out, so a bit of a form boost there. And it was just one of these, trying to look through and find a horse where I thought there was movement in handicap mark. And of 93, I thought when looking at the horses in and around where he's been running, there's every reason to believe he could be well handicapped. Not unponderable is the ground. He's been running on soft, but again, looking through, the stats, Tornadoes, they tend to do really, really well on quicker ground. So maybe the trainer knows that, and that's why he's bringing him over. And like I say, they're going to roll the dice on some quick ground, one of the biggest stages of them all. And Bless could just have movement in this mark, and drawn 10. Hopefully, Stefan Pasquier is going to have options about where he wants to go, and there'll be something to tow him forward. So yeah, Bless win and place for me. Decent.
Yeah, he's 25.0, and we're going to 7 places on the Britannia tomorrow. The only tip I was going to put up on this podcast was Docklands. He's a tracker horse I've had since he finished second to Chitra's Gift at the start of the season. He's been well punted for this already, so I hope he wins. We'll jump on to the next one. So it's the Hampton Court Stakes. It's the 5:35, and Torito sits at the top of the market at 5.2. Then you have, for the same connections, Epic Tate has 7.2, Drumroll is 7.2, Exoplanet is 7.8, then you have Bold Act 11.0, White Hero 11.0, then you know the Carnair Fun at 12.5. So, Charlie, straight back to you.
Yeah, I ended up with again, very classy race, lots of unexposed 3-year-olds, with plenty of upside, and it's a race to kind of keep a lookout on for the future. Came down with a Canberra Legend. Won the fielding and beat a decent horse in Colsai, who's ran well in a couple of group races since. bombed out in the Dante, but he was sent off 13-2 that day, and there was still chat about Derby aspirations at that stage. And I'm willing to give him another chance. You know, again, certainly this price 13.0. Again, it gives you win and place options, and yeah, just one of those days. I liked him at Newmarket, and he bombed out at York, but I don't see any reason why, with a horse that's highly regarded, that he can't bounce back. And I'd say this is slightly calmer waters than the Dante as well.
Yeah, there was big talk from that day to Dante, probably getting a bit of extra juice in the price because of that underperformance. Steve, you're looking at another Roger Varian runner.
Yeah, Exoplanet, who won on debut last year in a good race, which, funnily enough, Conquistador finished third in, and has since been a big fancy for the following race. And then didn't shine at all in a Group 3, but clearly that wasn't his form. He's come back this season, first time up behind Military Order, was runner-up, but last time on handicap debut in the London Gold Cup. Now, the London Gold Cup at Newbury has got a history of being won by group horses, if not Group 1 horses. The likes of Al Kazim won that race, and it's got a really good pedigree for a handicap, that. And I think Exoplanet was a little bit unlucky because he travelled so well, and he was just timing his run to perfection on Jack Mitchell when he jumped the Chris packet, of all things. And then he just needed gathering up, and he immediately was off the bridle. And where if he'd have just gone through it smoothly, I think he'd have won and he'd have beaten Bertinelli. I think Exoplanet is going to be a well-handicapped horse in a race like in a race like that, and he's stepping into a Group 3, and I think he's well up to it. I think he's a quality horse, and he's the one for me in the Hampton Court.
What flavour crisps, Steve?
I think it was prawn cocktail, and let's face it, nobody likes prawn cocktail, and
I love them, to be honest.
Yeah, I do too.
Sorry, mate, I don't want to fall out here.
Hey, Deasy is in my camp as well.
Yeah. I'll buy them for the 4-year-old and eat them myself.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the Hampton Court started. Lads, we'll jump straight onto the Buckingham Palace stakes. We have a monster tip for that in the comments. We'll bring that in there now in a second. But we'll go through the market there now. First, Croupier, successful at York last time at 10.0. Then Biggles at 12.0. Unforgotten for the Tory and Gosling at 10.0. Montesib is 12.5. Ross Collin is 14.0. And we might as well just stop it there now because we have a team steam on Ross Collin. I'll go back to you, Charlie, to make the case from.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was a horse. I put him up on the pod last time at Epsom, and he ran no real sort of race. But you look back through his form, and there's every reason to believe he's better at this 7 furlong trip than the 8 that day. And there's just every chance maybe he was having another sighter for this. And because of it, he's been dropped a further £2. And what's really exciting, Dees, is that means that he's £10 lower than when he was beaten in this, when he was beaten just over a length in this last year. We all know how good David O'Meara is with these, straight handicaps these straight course handicaps at Ascot. And yeah, Ross Collin, I'm going to keep the faith, and I'm in the hope that it was today was the plan all along, and not Epsom last time, mate.
Anything to add, Jonesy?
Spot on. He's been really well backed. Like Charlie said, no better man than David O'Meara to line one up for a handicap like this. He's done it so many times. And the other good thing is David O'Meara's had a bit of a slow start to the season, but he's really firing now. And I really fancy Ross Collin. He was 25s yesterday, but he's for me should be even shorter than he is now. So yeah, I'm banging for him. And he had a breathing operation in the winter. Those 3 runs, I think, have been to readjust him a little bit. And he was on soft ground the Victoria Cup from a poorish draw. Never going to suit. And then, like Charlie said, Epsom over a mile and a half a furlong. Again, I don't think a track like Epsom's going to suit him, although he's won round Goodwood. Just don't think it's his place. I think everything is in his favour today. I think for Friday he's going to run a massive race.
yeah, very shrewd boy by the horse watchers, and best of luck to them tomorrow. So,
And it was Thursday, not Friday, isn't it? I don't know what day of the week it is.
That's all right. That's all right. It's actually Wednesday, but
it's a tough day today. Yeah.
So we've had a comment in here now. Matchbook takes no responsibility for comments that come in on the YouTube channel. We have a comment in here from Paulie Harris. What's the story, boys? Buckingham Palace Gorak owners coming over from Australia and booked the Australian jockey. Get on him. So Gorak is currently trading at 110.0 on Matchbook, and we're going to 7th place as well. So if you like a wild one, stranger things have happened. We're surprised there wasn't a 3-figure winner today, the way things are going. So best of luck with him, Paulie. That is Thursday covered. So we're just going to get your best long shots today, your best Matchbook Zero long shots. If you haven't seen Matchbook Zero, it's a new product we're offering. Zero margin, zero commission. That means that there is nothing added, no tax added onto the bet. You're getting the best price possible. You can have a max stake of 20 quid on every race. And the lads have one. If you're going to have one £20 bet tomorrow, what would it be, Steve?
The long shot is Crown Princess in the Ribblesdale French Raider.
Yeah, 34.0. And Charlie?
Yeah, same race for me. Warm Heart. How often could you put up an Aidan O'Brien, Ryan Moore combo as that? So, yeah, Warm Heart for me in the Ribblesdale.
Yeah, 16.0. So you're going to need 2 accounts for Matchbook Zero tomorrow. We won't say anything about that. There's no lays, no best lays. You're not taking anyone on. Not even Alasifa. Wouldn't stick her in for a cheeky lay.
Oof. I was tempted, to be honest, mate, but then I wasn't brave enough, to be honest.
Yes, that's fair enough. And finally, Thursday best bets, Charlie.
For the same reason as Steve, said what a great trials of a group horses the London Gold Cup is, and Bertinelli for me to continue his rise through the ranks and hopefully end up that good at some stage.
And Jonesy.
Ross Collin in the last, and for all the reasons that Charlie just said a few minutes ago.
Ross Collin at the lucky last. Right, that is Thursday.